Hello and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Weissite. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it as we welcome in our favorite dietitian from Rouses, April Sins. Hey, April.
Hi, Keith. How are you today?
I am doing very, very well. But as Aaron and I were talking about how tired we sometimes feel, you've got some great recommendations about how to get more energy out of the foods that we eat.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. The one thing that I would probably say to start off with is think about after you eat your meal, whether it's a breakfast, lunch, or a dinner, but mostly I'm thinking about breakfast and lunch during the day when we need to be,
Right.
kind of more energetic. Are you feeling tired after you eat? So, what I want you to think about is what is that meal that you're having? And think about any meal that you have and think about how you feel after that meal. So it's kind of like intuitive eating. So if that meal makes you feel really sleepy and tired after you eat it, maybe there's a little imbalance in that meal. Maybe there's a little too much heaviness. Maybe it's a lot of fried food or something like that. Maybe it's carb heavy, and we can definitely have the carbs, but maybe it's too heavy. Maybe it's not enough vegetables. Can we add that? Maybe it's the fruit or protein. Where can we add those things? So those are the things that I want you to think about whenever you think about after how you feel after a meal. So how are we supposed to feel after a meal? We're not supposed to feel like we need to go to sleep right after a meal. Okay. So the meal is to give us some energy to keep going throughout the day, but it's also to provide some nutrition. So let's think about a balanced meal. Now, you may have seen this in a variety of places because this is supported by the USDA and it is called the My Plate. And so basically, what they've done is, remember the old food guide pyramid?
Yep.
They took that and they said, you know what, that might be a little bit hard for people to try and figure out, how many of each thing that they should have at a meal. And they simplified it by saying, hey, let's take a plate and I'm trying to not get the glare. Let's take a plate
Mhm.
and how can we balance that plate? So we have half of the plate says fruit and vegetables on this side, and the other half of the plate says, I'm sorry, it's on this side. And then on the other half of the plate says grains, protein, and it does have dairy right here for some calcium sources. So not your plates are not going to look divided like that normally. I know mine don't. I usually have something like piled on top of each other, but it's just the idea of the balance. So if you're not getting fruit and vegetables throughout the day, think about how you can add that in. Now, I have a couple of ideas for breakfast, okay?
Okay.
So these are just separate things, but one thing you can think about is maybe it's yogurt.
Mhm.
And what can you pair that yogurt with? Instead of just having the yogurt, I like a Greek yogurt because it has more protein. Protein and fiber help to keep us fuller longer. And what can we add some blueberries to that yogurt? I like to take half of the yogurt. This kind of is like a little budget friendly idea. I like to take half of the yogurt and then have a bunch of blueberries with it. And then I can split this yogurt into 2 days. But that's a great way to have a little combo breakfast with your protein and your fruit. Another thing you could have either with that on the side might be a boiled egg, or maybe you might want to have a waffle if you wanted something a little bit more for breakfast. What if you had a whole grain waffle? So the whole grain gives us some more fiber in there. You could find that in the frozen section at Rouse's. And then what if we add some peanut butter on top? I add some flax seeds for some omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for us, but it also gives us some more fiber and it gives me a little crunch. So I feel a little bit more satisfied whenever I have that. But think about how you can add a combination of things there. Another thing you could have, just another idea for lunch. And I like to keep things really easy because I don't like to make people have extra steps, to
Right.
go. So what if you grabbed a bag of salad from the Rouse's produce department that has everything in it for you? And then what if you took that salad, mixed it up in a bowl? But you know what? Some people might be saying, that's not going to fill me up, right? I know it's not going to fill me up either. I need some protein with that. I need some more, maybe some like a wrap. Maybe I can make a wrap with it. So think
Right.
about how you can combine, take some of those veggie forward foods. Like I'm going to take this salad that I've already mixed in the dressing with it. What if I took a can of chicken,
Mhm.
okay, chicken breast? I'm keeping it super simple. I'm not even having to cook anything.
Right.
and maybe added some walnuts on top of there and then wrapped it up.
Wow.
This is a really nice idea, and maybe you need two of these. So do whatever's going to work for you. But what the point is how can we combine some nutrition in there, which is actually going to help us be more satisfied after we have that meal. It's going to help us stay fuller longer, and then it's okay to snack. Snacks are a bridge between meals. So when you think about a snack, think about how can I do the same thing as what I'm doing at these meals? How can I combine some protein and maybe some vegetables or fruit? So maybe it's a fruit with some cheese or something like that. Think about those combinations of foods, and those are the keys to helping you not be so bogged down from your meal, but maybe be a little bit more satisfied after the meal and then give us more energy.
And so a light meal like that, either for breakfast or for lunch, is actually filling enough and it's got enough balance with nutrition that we feel better because we're supposed to. We're supposed to
Yeah,
feel good after we eat, not tired or sleepy.
right.
So, some great recommendations, April. I love that. Aaron and I, every time we watch these, we come up with new ideas because I know I'm going to go buy a bag of salad, pour it into a wrap, and add some walnuts and a little bit of cheese, and that is my meal. So,
Yeah.
awesome ideas. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Keith.
All right. And that will do it for this particular edition of Eat Right with Rouse's. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.